Hello there, welcome to Technability. Happy Saturday, guys. Hope you're having a fun weekend. So, basically, by now, you guys are well aware that iOS 7 beta has been released for various iDevices. I've had it uploaded, or I've had it installed here on my iPhone 5 for a few days now. I think it's been about 5 days. The beta release was released out to the public on June 10, and I've had it installed since then. I was one of the first people to upload a extensive length video, 11 minutes long, of iOS 7, but it was the first time that I was really using it, so I really didn't have the chance to go through all the features, whereas about 5 days later, I think I've had enough ample time to use it to be able to give my formulated opinion on how I feel about it. So with that said, this video is going to delve into two different topics: my likes and dislikes. And I don't want to necessarily use the word dislike because dislike sounds kind of harsh. More or less things that I'm not too crazy about. So for every like, I'm going to basically delve into something that I'm not too crazy about. And let's just go ahead and call it a dislike. And we're going to start off right off the bat with the fonts. And that's my number one like with iOS 7 is the fonts. You can see the fonts right here. It's Helvetica something or another. And they've done a really, really good job with these fonts. I think they really hit it out of the ballpark with this specific font that they're using for iOS 7 across the board. You could see with the icons close up, it's just really, really beautiful. Adds a lot of depth and layer to an already fantastic high resolution display on a 4-inch screen, 326 pixels per inch. So the fonts to me are really nice, and you can let's go ahead and compare it actually to fonts on iOS 6. The fonts on iOS 6 do have a bit more of a boldish look. I think it matched the skeuomorphism a little bit more, but the fonts on iOS 6, and you can see the viewing angles on iOS 6 were a little more painted on, looked a little more painted on, I guess because of the skeuomorphics. But with that said, the fonts were nice, but in my humble opinion, definitely not as nice as the fonts that you're getting here with iOS 7. Now, with that said, and with that specific like, I'm going to delve into one of the features that I'm not too crazy about, and that would be the icons, and specifically the inconsistency of the icons. Now, what I mean by that is, of course, you have this new flat look with gradients and color shadowing, but no skeuomorphism. If you don't know what skeuomorphism is, or skeuomorphics, look it up. It's basically, with iOS 6, you had icons that look similar to their real-life counterparts, like a Rolodex, or the Game Center had the green felt. So it had more of a realistic tone with a more 3D-ish feel, whereas now iOS is leaning towards this flat look. And I think one of the issues here is that a lot of these icons, in my humble opinion, again, my perspective, just don't make sense. The camera icon is okay, I suppose. The photos icon is just a bunch of colors in a circle. I suppose that's a flower, but again, it's not too crazy about it. I do like the calendar icon, very simplistic, minimal, looks good. The weather icon doesn't say 73 degrees anymore. But you know, I would have liked this weather icon to have been live, to basically glance and go type deal where it shows me the weather right on the icon. Again, that'll be a very similar copy to what they do with live tiles, or in that case widgets. But with the weather, you could see I have to actually go into the app to see the weather, or you can get it on your notification center. But in any case, it would have been nice if they actually had a glance and go feature with that weather icon right there to showcase some sort of weather without you having to actually enter the app. The notes app is nice, decent looking, I suppose, but that yellow is kind of funky. You got the reminders icon, of course. The App Store, which is fine. I actually prefer this App Store. Now, the settings icon really kind of gets me here, because the settings icon kind of looks like an oven, and that was best said by the Berj. It looks like an oven or some sort of grill or something. It just doesn't look before it looked like the internals of a clock. It just to me doesn't make much sense. But again, I guess it's all in the eye of the beholder. And same with Safari. It looks like the Nokia GPS icon, sort of. Not big on that. The messages icon is alright. I think the bubble inside of it is a little too big. And a lot of this is subjective, and obviously my opinions don't have to mirror your opinion. You can feel however you want to feel about this. This is just my opinion here. But with all that said, you do have to look at the screen, guys, 99% of the time. So you want to look at something decent, something nice. And I'm not taking anything away from the design of iOS 7. I do think it's absolutely beautiful. But with that said, I think maybe it's a beta build thing, but there are a lot of inconsistencies. And I'll give you another example. If I go to reminders here, and you're probably not going to be able to see this, but there's a little bit of skeuomorphism there, meaning there's a little bit of a layer that looks sort of like it's just just like the old layer of what you would get with the felt, the green felt on the Game Center app, for example, with iOS 6. So here you kind of have that skeuomorphism in the background. Again, you got to look at it really close to see it, but whereas with the notes, you don't. It's just a white background. So, you know, yeah, this was slightly inconsistent, but not too big of a deal. I know I emphasized on the original iOS video that I did again. This was the first time I was using it, that there was a consistency feel to it. But now I'm kind of, the more I've used it, the more I feel like there's just certain areas where, for example, if you go to Spotlight, you get this gray keyboard. If you go to Messages, you'll get the white keyboard. And in some websites, when you're inputting certain data, like your birth date or whatnot, you get the old iOS keyboard, the dark gray iOS keyboard. So I'm sure that'll be fixed and updated with the later beta builds, and of course eventually the final build that you will be receiving OTA in the fall. Alright, so let's go to the number 2 feature that I like here on iOS 7, and that would be the folders. The folders to me are absolutely beautiful. They definitely, to me personally, I felt like, well, what else could they do with the folders that would really make a difference? Well, here it is. The animation that you get when you click on a folder, and even when you create a folder here, you could see the animation that you get. Just really, really cool looking. Obviously the text, and again, I go back to the text. The text right here on the folders is just really nice looking, and overall, it just has a really, really clean, smooth feel to it, and I appreciate that. I like that. One of the features that I like here is the folders, definitely. So I have to tout them for the folders, and obviously with the folders you get these crazy, crazy cool looking animations. So the animations are really nice, and going back to the animations, one of the things I wanted to emphasize was the dynamic wallpapers, or basically what we would call in the Android world a live wallpaper. Very similar to what you get with Phase Beam here. You can see the wallpaper is actually moving in the background. Again, very similar. If you've used Android, then you know what Phase Beam wallpaper is. I don't know if you could see that close up, but it's basically a live wallpaper. So, and here's another really cool thing about these wallpapers, and I have to give them credit for this, is that when you put a specific light wallpaper, like you can see right now the text is white. If I put, let's say, this wallpaper here, what happens is it'll automatically turn the fonts black. So it recognizes that it's a lighter wallpaper and that it'll be harder to read the lighter text, so it changes the fonts, or changes the text color to black. So I think that's a really cool added little touch. You can see if I put the darker wallpaper here, obviously now the text is back to white. So I really like the animations. I really like the folders. I like what they've done with that. It takes me back to Windows Phone, and Windows Phone being the standard bearer in so many ways for animations, because they're so it's done really well in that aspect of the UI. I think iOS has definitely caught up there, and put their own little flavor into it. So that's one of the things that I really like, is the folders and the animations, and of course the fact that the fonts change colors when you put a lighter or darker wallpaper. Now, one of the things I particularly don't like is, when I just mentioned this earlier, the inconsistencies of the operating system. Again, I'm gonna be real short and sweet with this. The notes, the reminders, etc., the skeuomorphics, they're here sometimes, they're not other times, so it's a little bit inconsistent, but again, it's a beta thing, so I can't really judge at this point, so we'll see what happens with future builds, and I'm gonna leave it there with the inconsistencies. Now, my number three particular like would be the browser tabs. I really, really enjoy these browser tabs. It reminds me a lot of what you get with Google Chrome. The Google Chrome tabs, obviously, if you click here, you can add a tab. You got this great little 3D feature, similar to what you get with the home screen as well. And I guess this goes back to the consistencies, that where the wallpaper kind of moves. And if you're, again, avid Android user, you know all about that feature, because it's in the Play Store as a downloadable app. But the Safari browser, I particularly do like. Let's say I go to a website here, I can enter the URL, or if I no longer want to, and here's another great thing about this, I can just go ahead and put a search right in here, as opposed to before, you would actually have to put the search in the little search box that they had on the side. Now you can actually search directly through the URL box. So really cool, and of course let's just go to use Classic here. Pinch zoom is just as smooth as it's always been. Works fine. Buggy here and there, attribute that to beta. And if I want to swipe away, I could just go ahead and swipe like this, and the tabs will be gone. So I really do like the browser. I like that you could search in the URL area now, something that they didn't have before. So That's really cool. Now, one particular thing that I think might confuse people with the browser, and this is not necessarily dislike, but just a little thing I wanted to mention, are these tabs below. It may be situations where people may not know what these do, and big deal. It'll take people a few seconds to learn it. But for the OCDs out there, these icons right here may be a little bit confusing. Not really for me particularly, but it's something I just wanted to mention. So with that said, I want to go ahead and jump to number 4. I really like these new sharing options that you get with iOS. So if I go to a photo here, for example, I click right here. Okay, I get my sharing options. I can airdrop it. Of course, I can airdrop it from the control center as well, which I'll get to in a minute. I can set it as wallpaper, print, and sign as contact, and it has a very minimalist, nice-looking interface. And I don't have to necessarily use just this one picture. See, I can click here and have multiple photos. Or, of course, it takes the photos that you have in your specific gallery and applies them right here. So it's really cool. It's an easier way to share photos, multiple photos at once, email them to yourself, message them, whatever it is you need to do, upload it to Twitter, Facebook, yada yada. So that's a really cool feature. Now, here's one thing I don't like about the gallery is that, I can obviously pinch to zoom to expand or zoom in to the photo, but if I slightly pinch right here, what happens is it basically takes me out of the photo and takes me back to the gallery. So sometimes you might be pinching out of a picture, okay, and it'll just automatically take you back to the gallery. Not a big deal, not really that much of a complaint, but it's just a minor little annoyance and hindrance. I'm sure there will be a way to disable that or do something, with jailbreak to minimize any confusion there, that if you're looking at a picture and you just try to zoom out, that it's just gonna zoom you completely out of the picture. But I do like this gallery. It's interesting. There's different ways to look at things via gallery, via photos, via albums, via the year and time that you've taken the picture. So the gallery is a really nice added little feature. Now, another thing that I don't particularly like is the small area that you get to take a picture with the camera. I would like to have a larger area here to take a picture. So get rid of this black up there. Make this a little bit smaller. I don't need square, panorama. I guess it's nice to have. It's new, but me personally, I'd rather have more space to see the photo that I'm taking. But in any instance, taking a picture is just as easy as it's always been. Same with the front-facing camera. So, a minor little hindrance, but the camera does come with filters now. So if I click right here, well, I don't know why it's not letting me. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I got these multiple filters here. Mono, zone, noir, tonal, fade, none, chrome, process, transfer, instant. So, and it shows you what it looks like on the filter as you're taking the picture. So, nice little ad right there, nice little effect. So, that's that. And now going to number 5 would be the control center. I really like this control center, something that iOS has needed for years. They've had it for jailbreak for a very long time, but they haven't had it in any official builds of iOS, so they finally have put it in here. Control center, very useful. Airplane mode, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, auto rotation, the brightness, the Pandora or whatever music it is that you're playing. Now, there is an issue here with a little bit of redundancy. For example, if I go to the lock screen and I double press, I get my music player right up there, and if I put the control center up, I get my music player right over there as well. So that's a little redundant, but again, something that they'll probably look at and fix with future builds or with the official build ultimately. But I like this. You got the flashlight, you got the calculator, the camera, etc. clock. So it's a really cool little added touch. But what do I dislike about the control center, or particularly not happy about? The fact that it's not customizable. Some of these are questionable. I don't need the flashlight down there. I don't need the clock or the calculator for that matter down there. You got the camera access, which is great and all, but again, going back to redundancy, I can access the camera right here from the lock screen. So why do I need to access? Why would I need the ability to access the camera from here as well as access the camera from the control center? A little bit redundant, something that I hope that they solve with future builds. Not too crazy about that, but again, it all goes back to the inconsistency of the OS and that being a beta build. So again, I have to keep going back to that, and the control center can use a little bit of customized options. If they would allow us to customize those apps, that'd be fantastic. Really make it a great user experience. Now going to the notification center, it's still really not fully optimized in many ways. You still can't share photos and whatnot through the notification center. I can't reply to text through the notification center. I can definitely access it now through the lock screen, which is fantastic and all. But there's still features missing. And I like that they've put these 3 separate tabs, and I like that Siri reads your text and notifications back to you. But it looks a little better. I like the transparency, but it hasn't added much functionality to the actual experience of the notification center. And it's still not fully integrated. There's still some areas that just don't allow you to do certain things, such as reply to messages or share a picture or whatnot. Something that you can do with other mobile OSs that with iOS you're still not able to do. Hopefully that gets addressed in future builds, maybe 7.1, maybe not. Who knows? We'll see. But it's to me that's a hindrance. That's definitely something that I dislike for sure. Not something that I minor, just a little annoyance. Something that I think they could really advance on, because one of the main catches to me for Android has been the notification center or the notification bar, because it has so many options and it's so customizable, especially if you have a custom ROM. That this is really somewhat lacking. Now that's my 5 likes and particular dislikes, or things that I'm not too crazy about. Extra things that I'm neutral about would be music, for example. It's just very simple. They've taken away a lot of the glitz and glamour. I don't have any songs currently, but the music app is really just kind of adds to the minimalist flavor that you're going to get with this version of iOS. Same with Spotlight. I'm neutral about it because I never used it in previous iterations of iOS, but I like that you can just kind of just access it right here through the home screen. There's a little thing that I found that if you put the notification down, you just get Spotlight, and you'll get an awkward dock with the icons overlapping. But you can access Spotlight anywhere on the screen. However, it is kind of weird to me that when you swipe left, nothing happens. Back to inconsistencies. If I go to the home lock screen here, I gotta go like this to unlock my screen. Now if I do this on the home screen, nothing happens. So a little inconsistent. I think they can add a little bit to that to make the experience a little more overall usability of iOS 7. Because with iOS 6 and previous iterations, you had Spotlight, so there was a reason to go left. Now there isn't. I think they should allow something to be put there, so future iterations, I'm sure that'll be addressed. The calendar, I'm neutral about. I like the way it looks. Very simple. No, not just red and white, basically, in black text. Utilitarian, minimalist look. So neutral about the calendar. Mail, I'm neutral about. You've already seen it looks similar to the Gmail. The Gmail app you get with Android. Messages I'm neutral about. Obviously with messages, and let me show you guys how this looks here. Actually, let's just go ahead and show you guys a text. Alright, so here we have iMessages. iMessages will show up as blue, my messages show up, his messages show up as gray, but the regular text messages that are sent, non-iMessage, will show up as green. So I guess it's, easily discernible, blue, green, etc. The keyboard obviously is white. So indifferent about the messages. Of course, very indifferent about the dialer, and the reason why I'm indifferent about the dialer is because it reminds me of Windows Phone's dialer. So indifferent about this as well. It's transparent with the background that you have, sort of, I suppose. When you push the buttons, you can see, actually, let's see if you can see this close up. You can see that it shows like the little space area that I have with the wallpaper that I'm currently using. So, that's pretty much that, guys. I mean, I know this has been a fairly long video, 18 minutes long. My opinion is my opinion is my opinion. I just hope to make you guys aware of the in-depth features and whatnot that you get with iOS 7 that you're going to get with this specific beta build if you decide to download it and whatnot for your phone. I've heard a lot of people complain that for their specific iPhone 4 or 4S it's not as fast or fluid as it should be, and I have noticed a little bit of stutter and slowdown here and there. Just to give you an example of where that would particularly be. You could see as I'm scrolling up on the contacts, it's a little laggy. So beta, hey, what are you gonna do? For me, it's decent enough for a daily driver, but I have gone back to my HTC One for the time being. You can see it says no SIM, I'm on Wi-Fi, and there's a specific reason for that I won't delve into. But with all that said, if you guys have any qualms, concerns, questions, opinions, one way or another, go ahead and leave a comment. And again, don't forget to subscribe. We have some great contests coming up, guys, and you can enter. It's free. All you have to do is subscribe to win some really cool smartphone accessories. Thank you for watching Technability. I am Berj, and I will see you guys later.